Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my mini tour of Scotland with an EV towing a caravan. We last left you at Traigh Farm CL in Arisaig, and in today's video we will be driving to Mull and talking about the realistic range you can expect from a Kia EV6 when towing a 1500 kilo caravan. Before leaving Traigh Farm we headed into Arisaig and the charging point at the Land, Sea and Island Centre. As you can see, the DC charging, which is only 22 kilowatts, was not working, but the AC charger was working. This boosted the battery at a rate of 5.2 kilowatts, which gave us more than enough time to look around this delightful village. The Land, Sea and Island Centre itself is free to visit and hosts many interesting displays and artefacts. In the reading room, I naturally found myself drawn to this resource. Landscaping throughout the village is lovely, but the proliferation of no campervan signs is not welcoming to the huge majority of van drivers who have no intention of parking up for the night. Far more welcoming was the lovely team at Soundbites Cafe. Dog friendly, plenty of vegan and gluten-free options and excellent coffee. Thanks to the Kia Connect app, I could check up on the status of my car from the comfort of the cafe. Even at 5.2 kilowatts, we had boosted the battery from 74% to 81%, which is, well, it's better than a slap round the face with a wet kipper.
Oh, right, okay, it's time to bid a fond farewell to Traigh Farm CL, and we're going to head down now to the Isle of Mull via the Ardnamurchan to Tobermory Ferry. So once again we're going to be doing about 50-60 miles again today, and we're going to go to one of my favourite campsites ever on the Isle of Mull, and it's a shame we're only going to Mull for one night, but there you go. I just love the fact this is so quiet. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
The first section of our journey was wonderful.
So this road surface all along is quite new, and we feel like we're floating. The feeling is just sublime. So quiet, so smooth, so lovely.
However, that sadly wasn't to last. We turned off the beautifully smooth A830 onto the A861 at Loch Ailort and followed the Loch down. It was my intention to stop at the same lay-by that I stopped at 12 years ago to take this photo of the airstream on a much nicer day. We indeed stopped at the right place, and it's interesting to see how little the adjacent tree has grown over the past 12 years. The A861 to Salen was okay, but there we later turned off onto the B8007 to Kilchoan, and that was rough. So as we enjoy the scenery and try to ignore the road surface, let's talk about the range of the Kia EV6 towing a 1500 kilo caravan. If you are completely new to EVs, you might not be familiar with some of the jargon and units of measurement, so allow me to explain using a petrol car as an analogy. Instead of fuel being measured in litres or gallons, electricity for vehicles is measured in kilowatts. The size of a car's fuel tank dictates how much energy, i.e. petrol, can be stored on board. With an EV, the energy is stored in the battery, so it is the size of the battery that dictates how much energy can be stored. If a petrol car has a 10-gallon tank and your consumption is 40 miles per gallon, you would get a range of 400 miles. But towing, that might drop to 25 miles per gallon, which would then give you a range of 250 miles. My Kia EV6 has a 77 kilowatt hour battery. Solo, my consumption averages 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, giving me a realistic range without the caravan of up to 285 miles. Towing the caravan so far, and remember this is only on two-way roads and not on dual carriageways or motorways, my consumption so far has averaged about half the solo figure, so that's about 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour. This gives a range in theory just shy of 140 miles. But nobody runs to zero, and with a caravan in tow you don't want to get below 20% battery. This would mean a range in the real world of 110 miles before needing to find a charger. It is good practice and courteous to your fellow EV drivers to charge up to only 80% on a fast charge, as the rate of charge slows down after this figure. From 80% battery, you would have about 83 miles of charge until you got down to 20%. So what does this mean in the real world? If you leave home with a 100% charge and you are confident that there is the ability to charge your car at your destination, for example, if your caravan pitch has an electric hookup, then you could do 125 miles without needing to stop and charge. But if you need to do double that distance, 250 miles, you would need to stop and charge not once, but twice. First time at 110 miles, the second time at 190 miles. Please remember that these are only estimates based on my experience so far of towing on two-way roads. On my next tour, planned for July, I'll be using motorways and dual carriageways and seeing how that impacts on the energy consumption. Well, I tell you what, I need some tea and toast after that drive. The bad news is, on the last hour of the journey, we averaged 19 miles. Yeah, 19 miles in an hour on that road. But the good news is we got, I think, 2.3 or 2.4 miles to the kilowatt hour. So, you know, every cloud and all that. And I have to say I am very impressed with the build quality of this compass, because, well, I was going very slow, as you can tell, 19 miles an hour. But yeah, I thought I was going to come in and find carnage, and not at all, not a bit. Everything was completely in order. So that is excellent. So let me have some almond butter and some raspberry jam. Thank you, Petra. Oh, excuse me, dude. Oh, there is nothing like tea and toast. So we are currently now at Kilchoan, and we're now waiting for the ferry to Tobermory. There is a car charging point here, but looking at Zap Map, it's been out of commission for months. So I'm just not even going to bother trying that one. We still got 50% charge in the car, and we started off with 80, so I'm sure we'll manage the 12 miles the other side. Might see if I can charge in Tobermory with the caravan, but I'm sort of so frazzled after that drive. Stunningly beautiful, but just wow, state of the road. Oh my goodness, we're rocking away like mad here. Right, do excuse me, tea and toast time, and then we'll be on the ferry in just under an hour. Oh, I needed that, Dougal. I needed that. Cheers. Oh, well, this is a first. It's the first time I've felt a bit seasick in a caravan. Oh, poor Dougal. Poor Dougal. The things you go through, eh? Oh. Still, I quite like this ferry lounge. Talk about travelling club class. Hey, dudes. What about club class? When's the steward coming round with the champagne?
If you're anxious about your motorhome or your caravan grounding as you embark or disembark from a CalMac ferry, don't be. I've always found the crew to be extremely helpful and courteous. In both cases today, one of the crew members came down to watch the caravan as I both drove onto the ferry and drove off the ferry to make sure that the caravan didn't ground front or rear. If there is any danger of grounding, they will stop you and they will take all measures necessary to prevent any damage to your caravan and motorhome. A big thumbs up to the deck crew of CalMac ferries. After disembarking in Tobermory, I noticed that there was plenty of room in the car park where the chargers were located, and I didn't see a sign that was prohibiting caravans. That's not to say there wasn't one, but if there was, I didn't see it. So I unhitched the caravan and plugged in the car.
Right, so we're off the ferry, we're in Tobermory, and this feels like a very good time to finish the vlog. So the plan today was to get to Kilchoan, plug the car in to charge up, go for a run while it was charging, then have a shower, and then get the ferry, maybe have a nice meal in Tobermory, and then go to a lovely campsite, which I'll show you in the next vlog. But life is what happens when you've made other plans. The weather is just appalling, and yeah, I think I'm just going to get to the campsite once we've charged and hunker down for the night, just get the heating on, shower and an early night. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're finding it interesting. In a few weeks at the end of the tour, obviously we'll have one big roundup of how it's been, but as I say, I think at the moment I would not want to go more than 80 miles between charges, or a maximum of 125 miles point to point, starting with 100% battery, if you know you're going somewhere where you can plug in and charge up. Either way, we've only done 50 odd miles today and I'm absolutely shattered. So it's not the miles you do, it's the kind of miles they are. So, but it was beautiful, that road in Ardnamurchan, just, oh my goodness, so rough. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Do join us again next time. If you enjoyed this, please do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't already. Stay with us for our EV journey. And it just leaves me to say, from Dougal, who's asleep in the back, and from me, thanks for tuning in.
In the next video, we're taking yet another ferry. We visit a full facility campsite with stunning sea views from every pitch. Enjoy a cracking sunset. And I will talk about the cost and the speed of charging up your car, both at public charging points and on your caravan pitch where permitted. See you next time.